Got that down. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday. Good to be back talking to all of you as we progress through another week of talking about joy. This week's that impact of rediscovering joy. Trying to acknowledge on Monday 3 different scenarios that really do stand in the way of joy or will affect it in some degree. So just kind of a recap of Monday was 3 scenarios that I think stand out often, 3 different versions of obstacles for get in the way of joy. The first one was like temporary setbacks, situations that occur in people's life where primarily it's this kind of automatic physiological response, right? We've heard about flight, fight, and freeze kind of thing. And whenever those moments happen, it's really, I would almost say, impossible for people to encounter joy, remember it, experience it in those situations. It might last um, generally, say a few days, even a few weeks. We'll call that the temporary setback, where the answer is about being patient with yourself or somebody else because they're trying to work through some automatic responses that got in the way and they just can't find that joy. But being patient means it's going to come back, kind of like this temporary numbness where it's hard to experience anything and then it returns. The second one are kind of more of chronic situations that have this up and down, whether you call it a kiddie roller coaster or a big one, certainly at really the low points that come in where joy is something to be reminded of. We talked all month long about having these exercises or efforts for people to write things down, remember lists, and want to be able to recall it on demand. It really applies well in these situations where there's a chronic situation. I think something's going on for years, perhaps, or it has a cyclical pattern to it. Certainly, our lives can have that way. Health can have a situation that way where it has ups and downs. And when you're in a down spot, joy is hard to experience. Everybody likes the up spots, but there's always an inverse to that. And when it happens, we have to be able to remember what gives us joy, where it comes from, how to connect with it again, etc. And then the final one is this more severe situation where there's, let's say, a tragedy or trauma that comes through and really rewrites the foundation for joy. That's certainly the hardest one, where people thought, well, this is what joy was before, but then this happened. And whatever that thing was, it is easy to understand when someone's like, yeah, it kind of blew up the idea of joy in my life. And when that happens, it is a necessary thing for people to kind of rescript it, rediscover it, redefine it, and try and kind of live for a situation again and find a way to experience joy again. So whatever those situations are, they're obviously mild, moderate, and severe. So you're either being patient with yourself or trying to remember where joy comes from, or just acknowledging that if something blew up your experience of joy, it is true that you have to find a way to re-script that and experience that again. Even trying to encourage everybody to build on that and recognizing 2 things: the power of empathy. So some exercises was saying reach out to somebody that you know that might be going through, whether it's a temporary or a chronic or a significant thing, and see if you can impart some joy in them, right? To encourage them in some way, spend some time, write some things to them if you can, recognizing you might be the grease on the wheel that helps them get back to experiencing some joy. But the second one was just acknowledging that if someone finds themselves in even a temporary setback, they need extra help. So whether it's finding counseling or being honest in their support network or something, if it's a chronic situation, it gets really exhausting to be in that over a period of months and years. So encouraging people to get help. And certainly if it's a trauma or a tragedy, to have people go get help. Way too many people go through that and are isolated and quiet and they don't talk to anybody, and it makes it worse, and they really, really struggle. All this kind of formulated in my mind just this idea of that when you've heard the word heartbroken, it is a legit thing. And maybe you've had a chance to talk to someone or you've seen someone who has a broken heart where something happened in their life and they're just not the same anymore. And it's a legit thing, and we all have a chance to help them recover from that broken heart in some way or form. Each one of you, not just me as a professional, but each one of you have a chance to be that encourager and help someone experience joy once again. But just kind of along those lines of being heartbroken, was trying to just think about the power of what people can do, and ended up just thinking about pacemakers and just this idea of what people have done and created. Up at Wausau Hospital, been there for some services, and they have this museum of just the different heart pacemakers through the years and how big they were, and then how small they are now. So here's just some interesting facts about pacemakers for people's hearts, right? Just the definition in terms of it: pacemakers are used to treat hearts that beat too slowly. Uh, bradycardia were invented in 1950s, but it was only in 1969 when they were powered with lithium batteries that they became a viable treatment. Uh, First fact. Second one, there's an estimated 200,000 pacemakers implanted each year in the United States. It's made of two parts: a generator, which is the device itself, or one or more wires connected to the pacemaker. And the generator contains electrical circuits and a battery. These wires, called leads, sit directly in your heart, which is always just fascinating to me to think about people wearing those and things right in their heart right away. Uh, I smiled at this. It's called a minor surgical procedure to implant a pacemaker, right? A small incision under the collarbone allows your doctor to slip the pacemaker in just under the skin, and then it's attached to wires that have been threaded through your veins to your heart. A small, minor medical procedure to put something in your heart is always interesting to hear. Even some newer pacemakers have remote heart monitoring with smartphone apps over broadband frequencies. And even a new type of pacemaker, one that doesn't have wires or leads, was recently approved for people with certain types of health issues. And the device is smaller than a traditional pacemaker and fits directly into the person's right heart ventricle. Pretty impressive. I'm always gracious for really smart people doing wonderful things and how it can literally help people's hearts that aren't functioning to be able to do something like that and just kind of operate without being known. It gives people a new sense of hope, I am sure. So even just thinking of one question related to this today, even if you know anybody who's had a pacemaker, that's impressive to me because oftentimes we don't know who's had one and who's had to be able to use one, even from children all the way up to the people we expect to have them. Um, uh, a minor surgical procedure. I keep coming back to that one because it just seems like that is not minor. Um, but a question for us: what are some ideas you have to help people recover from a broken heart? Whether that's physical, they've had something come in where they're just not able to function the same way that they used to because their heart has something going on, or emotionally, when they've had a situation, again, temporary, or a chronic situation, or a significant setback, tragedy. What have you been able to do to help someone who just isn't quite the same anymore related to that? What comes to mind? And I've got answers too to help prompt. Yeah, Bill. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Yeah, the powerful presence, the fact of being near somebody when they're working through a lot. It's a lot of layers on that one. The physical aspect, or losing um, a sense of confidence, or just wondering what's coming next. Certainly, there's a lot going on there for your dad, but it's a good example. Just being able to sit by somebody and recognize that they're not alone at a minimum, or giving them permission to just whatever emotions they're going to have. It's good. Any other thoughts that you have seen? Maybe someone has comforted you in one of those temporary setbacks. What's helped you when you've had to catch your breath a little bit? You're in a situation you want to fight, flight, or you're frozen and don't know what to do next. Good things to be thinking about through the day, besides Bill's answer of just being there, sitting near them, being able to do it. You heard me mention earlier the exercises to be able to talk to someone, even if it's in your support network, and just say, hey, something, I can't shake something is a good phrase to be able to say. Go with somebody to get them some help, right? It's a great way when you don't know what else to do. You can drive, you can sit with them, you can help them make contact or a phone call or make an online appointment. Those are all good ways to be able to do it. And if you find your way in it, remember to give yourself patience that joy will come back. And if you're in a moderate one, make sure you've written down some of those lists, things you have access to throughout the week that will help you remember what gives you joy, remember what will give you energy and some life again, even when it feels like it is absent. Final comments here. Uh, First thing, you've heard me mention it, but when people do break their hearts because of a situation, whether it's physically or mentally, they're not quite, their outlook is different now, or their emotional strength is different. You have to be able to help them have some trust in themselves and in life again that something is going to work. Oftentimes, when people have that absence of joy, it really lingers, and it's like this nagging injury that won't go away, and they have to work their way back, almost like a rehab physically. You have to do it mentally and emotionally to build that trust again. Those obstacles to trust might be about themselves, others, or a worldview they have to work through. It's not like joy just disappears and then they're able to just wait till next week. They might have to work their way up from, especially the tragedy, and just start to rebuild everything again because what they thought was true is no longer true. So it's a complicated thing. And then finally, just recognizing it, just like we try and be disciplined in everything we're doing physically around the gym, it's this idea that emotionally and mentally people have to be that disciplined and not expect results right away. That if they're like, I used to be joyful, you have to be able to take 6 or 12 months sometimes to be able to work through something and start to experience that sense of joy again, or recognize it's going to look different. Someone has a chronic injury or surgery, they're like, I can't move the same, or I have this little hitch, or I need to do something different, or I can't lift the same. There is an emotional equivalent of that, that sometimes joy is experienced not in this traditional route anymore. It's done a different way, but it's possible. And just as we modify things physically and recognize we can be strong and can take care of ourselves, there's an emotional and mental equivalent as well. So certainly a week, talking this week, where when you have to rediscover joy, it means something took the life out of it for you. And being patient with yourself, working hard, looking out for the people around you, because at any one moment, not everybody has the same level of joy. And my encouragement is not to ignore the people that are absent some joy, because you might be that difference that makes them feel it again and start to recover. And if you're in a spot where that joy just feels elusive, then please talk to somebody that cares about you, whether it's here at the gym or me or Bill or somebody else that you know, because if it's absent now, it doesn't mean it's gone forever. So a heavier week this week, talking about the things that get in the way of joy and makes it hard to experience it. 1 week left to really be practically focused on experiencing that joy, and looking forward to talking about that and wrapping up this extra long month with lots of Wednesdays to talk about a good topic. So good to see everybody. Have a good workout this morning.